Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2 of the DO Boxing Show. I'm Dameon Okposio, your host, and today we're going to talk about Below the Belt Boxing Magazine, which is one of my businesses. And all of my businesses, basically, I have 8 businesses, and we'll go through them eventually. They all fall under a corporate banner, which is Dameon Okposio Limited. But the boxing magazine is one I've had for a long time. I started it back in January 1999, and it is the only amateur and professional boxing magazine that is nationally distributed for Canada. Just 100% Canadian owned and 100% Canadian content. So I have Donald Wombolt with me today, former amateur fighter, coach, and basically all-around boxing aficionado. So we have a few questions about the magazine that I thought people might be wondering, and or might be the common questions. So I just want to elaborate and introduce anybody out there that doesn't know about Below the Belt Boxing Magazine to the magazine.
When did the magazine start?
So Below the Belt Boxing Magazine started back in 1999, January 1999. I had the idea, and I used to read a lot of the Ring magazine, and there was a Canadian boxing magazine called Punch that I used to look at, and they no longer were continuing, and I just felt that there was going to be a bit of a void there. So I was always interested in finding out what other fighters were doing and how they were training. I had a lot of questions, and so I thought the best way is for me to just do a magazine if I wanted to read one on Canadian athletes, and go around and do interviews, and that's how Below the Belt was born. I came up with the name. I thought it was pretty catchy, and I had a lot of great help at the very beginning. This is the very first issue. I remember spending a lot of money putting it together. It was black and white, and it was approximately 55 pages. So this is the look of the magazine. To give you an idea, this is how the inside looked. I think I put it together with a Microsoft Publisher at the time, and had a few advertisers, but mainly I funded the magazine. On the cover was Fitz the Whip Vanderpool when he won the WBF world title at the Royal York Hotel. I covered that fight. So it was just basically a collaboration of a lot of people that loved boxing. A lot of these photos were done by I think Pete Doherty or Greg Miller, and I did some of the articles, and we had some submissions by a lot of good writers.
And what is the distribution?
So the distribution of the magazine, it gets distributed since 2000 to every Chapters in Indigo right across Canada. So basically I used to do subscription services at the very beginning, but it was pretty labor intensive, so now I just basically, it's available for people at any Chapters or Indigo across Canada, and at any events that we put on. So if you see a poster and it's got a DO logo on it, you'll be able to pick up the magazine at that actual event.
Is there a subscription?
So no subscription, and sometimes people have asked me if I plan to do a subscription in the future. Not for the immediate future. I don't have plans to do one. Our distribution is around 1,000 magazines. Sometimes I bump up the number during the time of our trade show. When we put on the boxing trade show, I might do up to 2,000 or 3,000 copies. But I find that we sell pretty close to 90% of what we print, and so I've kept it around 1,000 just to be able to be consistent.
Do you have a website?
I don't have a website for the magazine specifically. So there's a general website, www.dameonokposio.com, and there's a little bit on Below the Belt magazine in there However, we do have a Facebook page, and anybody can go on. You can go and look for past stories, and there's a lot of photos on there, and you can ask questions as well, and I'll respond.
And how do you choose who you cover?
So this is a question that a lot of people have, and with regards to the magazine, it's actually evolved. So now instead of black and white, we go to full color. And the way I make a determination of basically on who gets covered is what value is being brought to the magazine. So if people are getting advertisement in the magazine, or if there's a sponsor that sponsors a particular athlete and wants them to get coverage, that's how I use it, and that's how I determine. It's only 24 pages, so there's so many stories in boxing. I don't think that, in my opinion, one story is more important than another story. There's obviously going to be some stories that might be more popular or important to certain people, but I've just found every single person has a story. So there's lots of content out there, but at the same time, the magazine is very expensive to produce, and I pay designers, distributors to put it together, and if the advertising isn't there, then I basically finance it. So that's what I look for. I look for value, and if somebody feels that there's value in the magazine, then I allow them to use that to leverage that, and then we bring those stories out there.